Jeg er nu kommet ind på Juelsberg og står nede i parken og har taget kig ned mod T-pavillonen, hvor der er dækket op til et besøg fra Kommandant J, hvor ca. 50 højtstående officerer skal nyde frokosten her i parken. Vi kigger lige indenfor i pavillonen. Inde i pavillonen, og den er altså tømt for borde og stole i dens anledning, som bliver brugt ude foran. Med en dejlig vue op mod selve slottet. Vi får nu det første kig i det fjerne med en indflyvning.
We'll be having lunch facing the house that was given to the family by the king after the battle in Køge Bugt, where the head of the family was, he was a general, but in those days the king understood and the governments understood who were able to lead men in war. So he asked this General Juel to lead the Danish fleet, and they of course defeated the Swedes. This house was built on the land that was given to him after the battle in Bay. And when that is over, you go and have a look at the house. My brother-in-law will explain in detail about the house, I'm sure, another long speech. And he'll also tell you to take off your shoes, not because it's Muslim ground, but because some of the house hasn't been touched by a paintbrush or anything modern since 1771 when it was. Good. that's the artist who has drawn it. So you cannot be sure that the situation ever was like that. But if you look at the map, you can see why the Swedes took their stand here. In fact, they wanted to meet the enemy further to the east, but they had not fortified Nyborg city. Ellensborg, it's called there. That is now called Holkenhavn. That plays a part in the story. Just to bring you into the picture, in the Nordic War, in Danish called the Swedish War, from 1657 to 59, the Swedes took Funen in 1658. They were supported by the British under Cornwall, who wanted to see that not one country had the control over the Straits, the Baltic Straits. After Cromwell's death, they didn't want the British to have sea supremacy. And then we had an ally in 1658. We had an ally from Germany, namely the Kurfürst of Brandenburg, who undertook to throw the Swedes out of Jutland. So this was the beginning of 1658. The Kurfürst marched from the south, bringing my mother's family up here once again to visit their homeland to get the Swedes out of Jutland. The Swedes were sitting firmly on Funen, and the Swedes conquered Zealand. They landed in August, and then they took Kronborg 1 month later, and then only Copenhagen was on Danish hands. And between the night between the 10th and the 11th of February 1659, the Swedes then made an assault on Copenhagen. But the citizens of Copenhagen, with some of the Danish regiments and the Dutch Marines, defended the city. The Swedes lost 1,000 men on the walls, and we only lost about 20 dead. When you look into, by the way, when you look into Swedish history, you would see that they only lost 532 because they didn't count all the allies. We are not like that. That's why we have alliances in this country. Then, after the successful Battle of Copenhagen, it was decided, the king decided that he would reconquer Funen, and on the 23rd of September, after the Kieler Woche had ended, Field Marshal Schack and Field Marshal Eberstein met in Kiel and decided, and they could concentrate their artillery very quickly. They did that at Ellensborg, and the landing was abortive. So the fleet went up further up the coast, and on the 31st of October 59, they landed at Kerteminde. There's a long discussion in the Dutch and in Danish history books who was the first man to wade ashore. We say that it was Field Marshal Schack. The Dutch say that it was Admiral de Ruyter. But anyway, they went ashore, and they cast through the Swedes back and proceeded against Odense in that direction, in a southwesterly direction from there, to meet Eberstein, who on the 4th to the 6th of November crossed the Little Belt in small boats with 4,000 cavalry and 1,000 infantry. And all horses swam over, and he only lost 3 cavalry and also a regiment raised by Schack, a dragoon regiment raised by Schack, all under command of Hans Ahlefeld. That was the plan, but the plan was not executed. You never saw this picture, because as soon as Eberstein was in position, he attacked. There are several theories. There is the so-called jealousy theory. There is a theory that they were jealous of each other, and that Eberstein wanted to decide the battle before Schack was in position. I don't believe it. I don't believe in that theory, because they had had good negotiations before, and they were very good friends afterwards. And Eberstein was not an easy man to be good friends with. There's also the theory that Eberstein, he was the man who wanted battle. He had always been arguing for battle, whereas Schack wanted to beleaguer the Swedes and let the Navy do the job, bombarding the city and all that, to spare his precious infantry and cavalry. That Eberstein then went into battle to force Schack to battle. But we of course don't know what the reason was. It might have been because he wanted to go to war, he saw the enemy, he wanted to attack. But it might also